Jesse here, Cade here, North Star Sports Media, in a special edition of talking Minnesota playoffs. Cade doesn't watch a whole lot of basketball, doesn't really care for the NBA. I love the NBA, and I love the Minnesota Timberwolves. I've been a Minnesota Timberwolves fan since I can remember 2005, 2006, right after the 2004 KG run. Uh, I've been here through it all. I've watched Lou Amundsen play basketball here in Minnesota. I've watched Andrew Wiggins, Anthony Bennett. I've watched Jimmy Butler come here and destroy the team. He wasn't completely wrong. I've watched uh, Gerson Rosas scandal. I've watched Glenn Taylor try to hold on to this team because he totally took it in the shorts for the sale of the team. And I've watched Anthony Edwards come here to Minnesota and look like Michael Jordan. And I'm so excited right now. The Wolves smoke the Lakers on Saturday night, shuts up the whole entire national media. Everyone's predicting Lakers. I said Wolves in five. The Wolves came out on Saturday night and they started a little slow. They had a couple turnovers on their first two possessions, but my goodness, they come around and they hit 51% from three for the game. And a lot of people say, "Oh, they can't repeat that performance. They can't repeat that performance." But overall, there were a lot of things that the Wolves did that were not consistent, and the 51% of threes is what made up for it. But there's a very good chance that Julius Randle doesn't have seven turnovers. There's a very good chance that Mike Conley comes out and has a little bit better game. Rudy was in foul trouble. He only threw about or he only played about 24 minutes. So I'm excited to see what JJ Redick's response is going to be uh, coming up here on a Friday night. But overall, I got Wolves in five. How about you, who hasn't watched a single minute of basketball this season? What's your
Well,
opinion?
I've watched more than a minute. I will
Okay.
watch the game if it's on, but I won't go out of my way to let my plans falter because of the Wolves that'll just have always just let us down, just like every other Minnesota team. But it is fun. I love seeing the Nas Reed hype from last year. Obviously, Anthony Edwards is one of the most electric players in the NBA. I love that he legitimately looks like he loves the game. Like he's actually out there smiling, having fun, being a kid, doing what he likes. That is great to see. Um, I also hated Karl Anthony Towns, so I'm so glad he's gone. He looked like the fish from Shark Tales, and all he did was yell at the refs and
Y-
played the weakest defense you could see.
You're right about that. You're
So,
100% right about that.
like you said, Randall, obviously one of the players we got, didn't have the best game yesterday, but he brought in a veteran presence that in a big playoff game, just because he got into foul or turnover trouble, didn't just falter and start hacking or start pressing. I mean, they had four guys who scored 15 points or more, so that's good to see as a complete team.
Yeah. Going into the game, I have to say, and this isn't just a homer take, I had no nerves whatsoever. I've watched this team all season long go on the road and just play mature basketball. Throughout the season, Edwards struggled with technicals, he even got suspended for a game because he had too many technicals. And that's part of growing up, 23 years old, understanding what he can and can't say to the refs. Some of it I don't excuse because even though you're 23 or 24 years old, you've been in the league for 5 years. You're essentially 5 years old in basketball years, which that's a lot of experience. That's over 400 games played. So to watch Edwards come out and not bitch to the refs and just to play a really mature game, it was so fun to see. And it seemed what I had read is the first half of the game he was just surveying the defense, seeing what the defense was bringing, and then at halftime he took over the halftime talk with the coach and he went to each one of the players and he said, okay, this is what the defense is doing. This is how we're going to attack it. This is what we're going to do. And if you want to talk about the biggest green flag in the world as far as leadership goes, that's it right there. And I cannot contain my excitement for this team. As hard as I am on the Minnesota Twins, I'm equally as excited and just like overall happy about this team. I did tune into some Knicks Pistons basketball this weekend because I had to watch the Kitty Cat play, and he had a good game. I didn't see a whole lot of whining, so good for him. But the collapse will come. The collapse will come. It's inevitable. So thank you for listening to me talk a little bit about Wolves. We were also talking about some wild lose last night 4-2 against the Vegas Golden Knights. Wilder 7 seed, Vegas is 2 seed. Real Kaprizov has been back for roughly about 2 weeks coming into the playoffs. He probably looked as good last night as he has since he's come back. I do feel like the Wild are going to put up a fight this this series coming up here.
Yeah.
You have any predictions?
Um, well, I don't know about predictions because the Golden Knights are a really good team. But from our energy that we brought game one, if we can keep that energy and win game two, and we come to Minnesota for game three, you're going to see the XL jumping. That energy is going to be amazing, and we will win game three. So it's fun. I was talking to some people, and I kind of said it. Both the Wild and the Timberwolves were kind of the team that barely, didn't almost barely make it in. I mean, the Wild were a little closer than the T Wolves, but they're that team that no higher seed wants to play. The record or their seedings may not have been the highest, but at the same time, we have the teams that no one wants to play us. I mean, the Wild's record, we were in the playoff contention the whole series our season, and we didn't have probably three of our top guys all year.
Right.
Eriksson, Kaprizov, they didn't play.
Yeah.
Mixed in a couple injuries throughout the middle of the year for a bunch of other people. We didn't have a lot of our big guys for most of the season. And then to get them 2 weeks prior, if we can figure out the chemistry and get back to what we can do with our full starters, it's fun. It's gonna be a good time for Minneapolis area.
This postseason, in my opinion, is extremely pivotal. And the reason for that is this is going to be the first offseason coming up that the Wild don't have the cap restrictions with Parise and Suter attached to them. So they
Yep.
are going to have some free money. I have been in my inner circle very critical of the trades that were made during the season this season, trading away Hustadinov for the Boston forward. That's a fourth liner that didn't even play last night. Also dealing away, I believe it was a second or a first round pick for a defenseman who is young and has potential, but again, isn't playing in this playoff series. Didn't really play the whole entire season. Had kind of been a disappointment from the Blue Jackets, and that's why he was on the block. Um, to give you a little information about how the Wild have been so far this year at home, and this is why I think Game 2 is going to be super super important. Is at home this season, the Wild are 22-17, which for the playoff teams, it might be one of the worst records at home. And I understand that they have been without Kaprizov or Eriksson or both of them at the same time throughout the whole entire season. However, when they were healthy, I believe the team was still just above 500 at home. So if the Wild want to make this a series, they're going to have to come out in game 2 and they're going to have to win. They got to steal one. And in hockey, anything's possible. I remember watching the Los Angeles Kings from the 8th seed win a cup a decade ago. And maybe that's a special circumstance because they had uh, Quick and goal who had a legendary playoff run. And that's essentially what a team needs in order to make a playoff run is to get a goalie that gets really hot. But I'm just going to say this. Don't let the Wild get hot because Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek, that's a fun first line to have together, and Boldy too. if all of them can click at the right time and get some really good goaltending, this could be this could be a fun run to watch. And I'm hoping that it does turn into a run because I'm gonna have to dig into this, and I shouldn't even say it without have for sure knowing, but I'm pretty sure they don't have a first round pick this season. It might be next season. I can dig into that. You can correct me if you'd like. But I'm like 70% sure they don't have a first round pick this season.
Um, honestly, even I mean, picks are everything. I should say it doesn't matter, but honestly, the way that the Wild are set up right now, it we need to win this series or get deep into this series. Honestly, just to give us more experience in the playoffs, because the Wild have a very good set for next season.
Mhm.
Most of our key players are already locked into contracts. We're done with the Parisi Suter contracts, and as far as like young talent goes, we're very good. Zeev, 19-year-old defenseman,
Great skater.
great skater. Had more points than McCarr as a defenseman, broke that record. Brock Faber, another true defenseman. I mean, we have 4 or 5 defensemen on our team that are young, or maybe not young, but steady.
Yeah.
And then obviously our first line, like you mentioned, and now we actually have money. The Wild are in a very good time for the next 3 years. So it's going to be fun to see what they do, but I just hope they can kind of throw it to the Golden Knights for once, and a big like first round win would be huge for momentum and energy.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm gonna say I'm still gonna say Knights in five. The Knights are damn good. And the way that the Wild fell off in the second half of the season, they're now gonna pay for it. And I understand there were injuries, but there was a lot of performances that disappeared throughout the season. From the forwards that were healthy. There, I think there was a stretch in February and March where they were like one of the worst teams in the league. So they're paying for it now, and I'm gonna watch as a fan, cheer them on. However, I don't believe this series is gonna go very far, but I could be totally incorrect. As great as my basketball eye is, my hockey eye is the complete opposite. So, um, I'm excited to see what happens. Should we just squeak in just a little bit of Minnesota Vikings NFL draft?
I'm out. I'm already deep into it, so I'm ready.
All right, now I'm going to ask the questions because I haven't had the time yet to really, really dig into it. What's your, what's your, what are you seeing?
Well, the most common ones I've seen is we're taking looks like Gray Zabel, old lineman from NDSU, could play center or guard. Um, we did just sign a center and a guard. Ryan Kelly's been hurt a lot lately, the last couple seasons. So he isn't as far as our long term multiple contract guy. It's probably not him. That can be a plug and play. The cornerback Texas Barron, that's a very common one. I've heard. I mean, there's a lot of Vikings can go a lot of different ways here. There's not really one guy that we're really linked to that much. Um, Before free agency, we had a lot more questions and a little bit more, but we did a lot in free agency to fill up our D line for multiple years. Um, and our secondary is pretty good. I wouldn't mind seeing either a trade out of the first round, just because if you look at our roster now, to me, they're a deep playoff slash Super Bowl team without the question mark at quarterback. And that's fine. It's going to happen. But if you trade out and you get more draft picks, next year's draft or quarterback class is better than this year's. Or supposed to be. Obviously, we'll see what NIL and what college players come back. That can throw wrenches in it. But it can give you the option next year to go trade up and actually go get another quarterback if JJ isn't the guy. I like JJ. All the reports right now is JJ is doing very good. He's back to full healthy, full go.
He's the guy. He's a dude.
So so I like it. If we didn't trade out, I and Malachi Starks is on the board, the safety.
I'll
I
stop you
want.
right there. Let me stop you
I'll
for a
take.
second. I literally just wrote down on my notebook excitement level for Starks
Yeah.
because I was gonna when you were talking, I was gonna ask you. yes or no, would you be excited over Malachi Starks? Because I have heard from some people through some other people that there are a lot of really big fans in the building of Malachi Starks. What
He's
continue on.
the smartest safety in the class.
Yeah.
You have that Nick Morier from South Carolina, 40 speed like no other, pure athleticism like no other, and that's cool. He could be a great guy, but if you could have one of the smartest prospects come in the league, have one more year with Harrison Smith, and he can put him in multiple areas. He's played some in the slot. He can cover tight ends. We use three safeties a lot in Brian Flores' system. So he may not be a day one starter, but towards the late half of the season and then specialty packages, you'll see him. And then next year, he steps in for Harrison Smith.
Yep.
And obviously, it's replacing Harrison Smith is a mountain of a task. But, Harrison Smith is 36, 37 years old going into this season. Might be nice to get some youth back there with the mindset with Harrison Smith. It could be fun to watch.
Let me ask you this. With Harrison Smith, this most likely being his last season, it seems like they're going for it. That's what it appears to me to be. And they have the space with the rookie quarterback contract. This is the first time the Vikings have ever, not ever, this is the first time the Vikings have been in this position in a very long time. So, what my question is if we're all in right now, and I sent this to you in a text a few days ago. I want to talk it out because you replied an answer. It was, just a little short message back and forth afterwards, but you deal your first round pick in Dallas Turner for Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals first round pick, and the Bengals fourth round pick. We were talking about this, I want to say about a week ago, like where does Dallas Turner fit? Because Dallas Turner, with the current state of the front seven being Van Ginkel and Greenard on the outside, they wanted Turner to be more of that interior pass rush on third downs, especially. So getting Turner on the field is a little bit more challenging. I think that's why Patrick Jones had assumed that role over Turner maybe in the beginning of the season, especially. Turner did get more reps down the line. But if we're going for it right now, let's say this is the window. The team honestly believes that JJ McCarthy's the guy. Ben Roethlisberger, 15-1 Pittsburgh Steelers, goes to the Super Bowl, right? Is that a wise trade? Trey Hendrickson, the Bengals, I think it's the Bengals. They had 16th overall, the 14th overall. So you get a high draft pick. You give up your first, but then you also get a fourth in return. Maybe for next season, as we talked about, loading up on assets for the following seasons. What's your opinions on that deal?
If they would take it, you would have to take it. But I don't know if you would get. I don't know if the Bengals would take that.
Okay.
Hendrickson is, I mean, top three pure pass rusher, top five pure pass rusher, I guess, in the NFL. And even though he wants out, he's 31, all these question marks. I don't know if they would give. We would have to give him, I think, Turner a first, probably a third next year, and they would just give us Hendrickson. So it's
Would you still do that? Harrison Smith
on.
last season, you're doing it for him.
Honestly, I don't know. No, I wouldn't,
You want to do it?
because he wants to trade in a restructured contract,
Yep.
and he's going to require you to give him the bag. He's deserving, so he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, it puts us in the predicament that we were 2 years ago, where all of a
Danielle
sudden
Hunter.
Danielle Hunter, you're just stuck in these contracts. Right now, the Vikings have all good contracts. Not saying
Flexibility.
they're cheap, but we have good contracts.
Yeah.
A rookie quarterback, and we have some wiggle room even for next year to see what we need or trade assets mid-season. And Brock Turner's stats weren't that crazy last year. I understand that, but he played a lot more at the end, and he's young. And Brian Flores' system is a difficult one. A lot of stunts up front, a lot of dropbacks. He started playing more of like a linebacker role. So just give him a little bit of year. I mean, we got him for a reason.
He Dallas Turner almost seems like he has that level of athleticism that like a Micah Parsons has, or maybe like a Khalil Mack. Am I going too far in saying that? I'm not saying that they're the same kind of player, but I'm saying the athleticism side of it and body build. Am I right about
Yeah,
that?
a little not quite there. Those guys
Okay.
are freaks of nature.
Okay.
Um, Dallas Turner's has unreal, I mean, just natural kind of feel for the game. And
Okay.
he's very athletic. I mean, they weighed him at 6'3", 247,
Yep.
250, I think, last year. So it's like, okay, you're built like a true NFL player. It's just like I said with him and Brian Flores, it's not like if this was an old school 4-3 like the Vikings used to do,
Hmm.
he would have got maybe a little less time or resolved more as DMs.
Right.
Where now with the Flores multiple defensive schemes, he had to learn a lot of different spots on the D line.
Yeah.
So, and I think and then like I said, playing the linebacker role a little bit more. So I would like to just see. I mean, not trading for Hendrickson is crazy because obviously if this is a 1 year trade, yeah, you want that, but I don't know if I want to give away our future just for one season because it. I mean, I know the NFL it says that one Super Bowl is worth like 10 years of mediocrity to fans, but I just think where we're at, we're fine. We don't need to panic. We don't need to do anything too crazy. If they propose a trade where it was Turner and our first round this year, I guess yeah,
And let's say they give you their if you really strongly don't believe that they would give you their first in return because Turner's value is fairly high plus the Vikings first. Let's just pretend that's their first, Hendrickson for Vikings first, Dallas Turner. Would you do that?
yeah, then I would.
Okay. So it's more so collecting additional assets on top of Hendrickson if it's realistic for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we get a first round in return and then it's a player for player swap, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously we know who's currently better right now and who would provide more production next year.
I look let's look at this from the Bengals perspective for a second. The Bengals are paying Joe Burrow. They're paying Jamar Chase. And did Higgins get a contract also?
I think they franchise him tagged again.
Okay. If they're gonna pay those three, which that those are Burrow's guys, you want to keep Burrow happy, right? Burrow also wants a good defense too, and he also wants an O line. Um, I from the Bengals perspective, I don't see why you wouldn't give a little bit extra to have a cheap contract for the next 3 years with an option. And you also still get, first round value just maybe 9 or 10 picks later. I, d- I don't think it's as much of a no from the Bengals side as maybe one would anticipate when you really dig a little bit further into it because the Bengals cap space is limited,
Sure.
especially with these contracts and the way that they're going to be paying these wide receivers. Again, I really like Dallas Turner. I feel like when I asked the whole Micah Parsons, Khalil Mack question, where I was going with that was, can Turner kind of be that Swiss Army knife where he plays in the middle a little bit? He goes outside, he goes inside. He can kind of be all over the field. I think at the end of the season, we watched him drop back in coverage, make some plays in the secondary, as well as really rush the quarterback really, really well. I believe personally that Dallas Turner's asset value overall isn't poor whatsoever. I think it's still very, very strong. And I think if you have an opportunity to get somebody like a Trey Hendrickson, this is almost like Jared Allen for a first round pick with the Chiefs when the Vikings dealt the first round pick to the Chiefs for Jared Allen in 2012. I want to say it was, or maybe 11. I forget the year. But this would be a really good opportunity to get that interior pass rush going. And think about the what that would open up for Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard. I mean, that's like a Madden front seven in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's a fun
I mean,
talker, you know.
I like yeah. It's just they would also be moving down from 16 to 24,
Right?
and that's a big thing. Maybe they would probably require us like a second next
Sure.
year
Sure.
and possibly like a fourth or something like that next year or fifth this year. Um, just because of that, they're moving down.
Yep.
If it was like two spots, it wouldn't be a big deal. But weirdly, it moving that far down the first round is a little significant. It has a little bit more value. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, I would do it. I mean, I
So
get the both sides too because they need money.
they do. And, the best kind of deal, the best kind of trade deal is a deal that does benefit both sides. And I truly believe that would really actually benefit both sides. So let's pretend they move up to the mid-teens. In the NBA, we'd call that a lottery pick. Uh, does that then increase the chance of drafting a Will Johnson? I mean, think about that for a second. Trey Hendrickson, Will Johnson, on top of the defense you already have with Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen, Harrison Phillips. I mean, if the Vikings could pull something like that off, we talk about on our other show how little excitement there is with the Minnesota Twins, how little excitement there is for the Twins. It's like peak amount of excitement for Vikings fans. You have a fresh new quarterback, some of the best weapons an offense can have. The 1-2 punch of Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. The Jordan Mason acquisition, I don't think it's talked about enough, by the way. I haven't heard enough people talk about that. That's a sneaky, sneaky acquisition.
It is.
And um, I just, man, if they could pull something like that off, that'd be so exciting. And it's a pipe dream. I get it, but it's fun to speculate and talk about these kinds of things because Hendrickson does want out. So why not Minnesota?
You're right. People
So
love playing for Flores.
so it gets to their pick regardless of where it's at. Let's say they take an offensive lineman. You,
Yep.
your favorite offensive lineman is Zabel. Oh no, we lost him. I'll continue to talk while Cade is maybe in the green room rebooting. Oh, he's back. Okay. Did you
We're
hear my
back.
question?
No.
Okay. You have a pick. You're going to take an offensive lineman. Is Zabel is your favorite?
If he's there. I don't know if he will be. There's a lot of with our draft capital and what we do and don't have, there's a lot of interior linemen in this draft, but I don't know if we'll be able to get them. And that's a guy you can plug and play now, but also give him a little bit to learn behind now a really good offensive line and not rush him into it. Let him kind of build, get a full season of strength. At the same time, if someone goes down with an injury, he's a you can plug him in right away, and that's a guy that you can sign multiple contracts with.
Yeah. Oh,
So is it necessary the pick I would go with? I don't know. We're talking that are they pushing this is the year? Is this are we gonna push for it? Are we gonna do it? And if you look at those questions, it's like, well, there's gonna be a couple corners still on the board. We already mentioned if Malachi Starks is already on the board. Um, we're talking about the receivers in this class kind of dropping a little bit, and it's like, well, if your defense is that set, you're happy with them because they haven't made any defensive. There's not been any rumors that we're bringing in another corner or another secondary guy. And our front seven, in my mind, don't need any help. You're looking at some late round receivers that if you want to make a really dangerous offense, you have options or another running back. Aaron Jones last year to me didn't, scare me. Didn't scare me.
yeah. Right.
Um, we talked about bringing in another running back already. Okay, cool. But at the same time, if Amarian Hampton from UNC is there late, you could have a really good three running back set. And if you need to make a deep playoff push, both those running or all three of those running backs are going to give you different aspects of the game
Yeah.
and really make your offense a truly dynamic running game.
The Hampton piece of it is exciting. I have watched some Omarion Hampton stuff. That would be a really fun running back to have. And then all of a sudden
I
you have,
don't think he'll be there. That's
you
why I
think
don't
he'll
say
go
a
in the
lot.
first round, early
He'll
first?
go early.
Yeah.
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 There's already been talks middle of the first. Just because he'll give you a three down running back
Okay.
option.
Okay.
So I don't think he'll be there. That's why I'm not like we should draft him. We should draft him because I think he's going to be gone before that.
Yeah.
Like I said, we don't really. This is the first time in a while as a Vikings fan we don't need something.
Yes. Best
You know
player
what I mean?
available, right? That's the angle you take when you
Yeah,
don't need something technically.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you could always you could go get more interior lineman help.
Yep.
This day and age, you've seen how many times you rotate your interior D lineman.
Yep.
With this draft class, there's going to be a lot of talent left on the board
I'm a big
at
fan
D
of
tackle.
Harmon. Yeah, for interior
He's a.
lineman.
You want a straight run stopper? You go get him.
Forgive me for not knowing this name, but I think he was Kentucky. It's the defensive tackle that's like 6'6", almost 400 pounds. Um,
Big boy.
yeah, I'm spacing on the name right now, but uh, that guy in the middle. I mean, we haven't gotten to see a Pat Williams style interior lineman in Minnesota for so long. It would be really fun to see a guy that has that kind of size with the explosiveness. And I think you're probably looking up the name right now for me. But initially during the season when I was kind of peaking, that was the guy that caught my attention. I'm pretty sure he has fallen out of the first round as far as value goes. Might be something
Yeah.
to look at because
Um.
I think we spoke of it before. Let's say I do believe that the Vikings are saying this is going to be the year because otherwise, why would Harrison Smith come back? But let's say you want to stockpile value for next year to continue to build this foundation that the Vikings are building right now. Trade back, collect a first rounder for next year or an early second round. Well, what you would believe would be a early second rounder. Just acquire some value and acquire a guy like that.
Yeah.
So
There's gonna be a lot of There's gonna be a lot of or a lot of depth at D tackle or
yeah,
different positions that if the Vikings are set but need rotating stuff, you could see them trade out. I mean, we've done it a lot, so not that uncommon, but yeah.
just don't trade to the Lions or the Packers this time.
Yeah, let's not do that one. That's not my favorite.
I defended it the first season because I really wanted to support my team and support the new general manager, but hindsight 2020, don't do it again. You don't need to. So and just trade with somebody that's not in the division ideally or even the conference.
Yeah.
So I have nothing else to add on Vikings football. How about you?
Nothing. It's gonna be a fun draft.
It's gonna be very fun. Cade and I we're gonna do something for the draft. We're gonna make a Vikings playlist as well. We're gonna start digging into the Vikings a little bit more as uh, mini camp comes around after the draft. This is a very, very exciting time to be a Vikings fan, and we're here for it, and we're here for you. So hit that like button, subscribe, comment. We're gonna post it on our social medias. Hopefully, what you find is enjoyable, and we look forward to talking more about it as the week goes on. Thank you.